In this video, guys, let's talk about how to move a stop loss and when to move a stop loss from my perspective. Stick around. Hey guys, warm welcome to you. So, moving stops, how and when to move stops. Now guys, this is my take on it. I definitely don't have the answers to this. This is kind of just when I feel you should move a stops, and you know, it works okay for me. I have to adjust it and adapt it like always with conditions, but I feel this is a good place to start from. But like all the things, guys, I definitely don't have all the answers to any of this stuff. I just try to kind of show you what I feel works, what works for me, and sometimes I talk about what I know works for other people as well. And the idea is you take it and go, yeah, that makes a lot of sense logically. How can I make it my own? Or, you know, by all means discard it and go, you know what, it doesn't make any sense, that I don't like it, I'm gonna do something different. That's fine, you know, that's trading, that's what it's all about. It takes two to make a market, and this definitely isn't the holy grail. It doesn't work all the time, but it's a good starting point, I feel. So what are we doing? So we're moving our stop loss. So let's just imagine the scenario when in a trade, it starts to go in your direction, and the reason we want to move our stop loss is we want to lock in profits. Okay, now some people are very big advocate of getting it to break even quickly. Some people are not. Some people like to give it a lot of room. Some people like to tighten up. It depends on your personality as well. I also will add, it depends on the conditions, and it depends on the style, it depends on the thesis of the trade. Before we go into this, just imagine you're in a trade that's sort of breakout type trade. Do you really want that trade going back below the low of the day if you're trading an intraday high breakout, if you're a day trader? Probably not. And so, you know, the stop has to make sense from the perspective of the trade idea as well. And the conditions, volatility expansion, range expansion, yes they are. Okay, great. Well, then maybe you can be different to if it's a range bound market. Anyway, so that's worth bearing in mind when we talk about this kind of operational perspective. So how and when? So how is basically, how do we move the stop? And the way that you kind of want to move a stop is you go, right, literally, I need to get the trade out of the danger zone. You know, so when you're in a trade, you take a trade, the danger zone, if you like, is right at the entry because it's oscillating around your entry potentially. You want to have it some cushion. You want to have it start moving your direction, some unrealized P&L on the order books. Now, some people are going to go, yeah, but unrealized P&L is exactly the same as it being in your pocket. In some ways it is, but in other ways psychologically it isn't. And you know, sometimes guys, we're doing stuff that isn't accurate from a kind of pure definition and logic perspective, but it's very, very useful for us from an emotional perspective. So we like to have a cushion, like to have a bit of a cushion. So let's say you took this trade here, for example. And by the way, the danger zone isn't necessarily monetary, it's technical as well, it's price action. So imagine you kind of were good enough to get a little long here, okay, and the market kind of pushed up. Now, are we out of the danger zone yet? No, because actually this here is a range that's gone back from multiple days, and we're still in the range. You've bought the bottom of the range, fine, but you bought the bottom of the range on anticipation of a breakout. I'm a big fan of that, guys. I'm a big fan of, you know, sacrificing some possibility of it not breaking, but having an entry that preempts the break. Nothing wrong with taking some profits on the top of a range, but I also like to be positioned just in case we break. So if we do, you're in a brand new trade, new trending environment, and you've got a beautiful entry. But that's by the by. So imagine this. You're in this range still. This isn't in a comfortable position at any point along here yet. We're still in the danger zone. So assume you've got your stop loss, let's use a black, under the range. Let's just keep it kind of standard for now. You're not going to move in it. Even though you've got some unrealized P&L there, it's moved up, it's still in the danger zone because technically it's still in that range. So how would I move it? I wouldn't. When would I move it? I wouldn't yet, I'd wait. Now, once we broke out to here, maybe you're trying to think, okay, well, we've broken out, I've got a choice here. Do I decide to lock in those gains, or do I give it a bit more room? This is a commercial decision for you to make. It depends on conditions, depending on this. I like to, at some point then, if I see some supply demand shift, I like to make some adjustment. Now, one adjustment you can make is you can kind of bring it up below, maybe not such a major support. So you're allowing the market to come back and tag the prior break range. We know that resistance zone and support, etc. Maybe wick through, but you're not allowing it to do a range break fake, which is the breakout and then break the direction. So maybe at that point, we're not quite out of the danger zone yet, but we've shown enough willing supply demand and balance wise to start to move it here. And I appreciate this is a kind of handwritten drawing in this, but I think it's easier to illustrate this in this kind of scenario. And then you go, right, there's my stop, it's moved up. I've been a little bit moved up because this is shown willing with this breakout. I'm still not out of the danger zone yet. Comes down, starts to push back up. Then when we start to get in, when we're kind of breaking out from these type of highs, that's when you go, right, now we're out of the danger zone. We have broken out the range. We've started to kind of range expansion. We started to break out. We're looking for fresh territory. Good. Now I can start to move the stop a little bit more aggressively. Obviously, depending on what you're trying to achieve, but assuming you're trying to achieve as much as you can and get as much as you can from this, at this point now, you're probably going to bring it up and you're going to say, okay, we're right up here now. Let me bring the stop below that level there. And you start to be a bit more aggressive with it. So you're moving the stop. How are you moving it? Moving it when you see that, and you're moving it, you know, in a certain amount of time has gone by and it's slightly more comfortable. And then it just becomes a case of, what am I looking for here? Am I expecting continued aggression? If so, you're probably going to ratchet it up below the lows. Am I expecting it to backfill a bit, which is normal, by the way? You know, in which case, okay, let it backfill. And then once it finds some support and goes, then I might move the stop to there, under that level there, whatever kind of zone that is, depending on how much room you want to give it. You want to give it really tight, you want to give it a bit more room. So then it's technical based. It's like, okay, what's the price going to do? Let me allow it to kind of do its thing and then move it up. And of course, if it comes all the way back, then the consequences are you give back more. But you know, you've got to weigh these odds up. Do I want to, am I prepared to give back more for the chance of it going higher? Or you know, do I want to kind of take some off? So moving the stop loss really, guys, as a summary is this, is get it out of the danger zone first, technically, whatever that trade may be. If it's a range breakout, if it's a kind of pullback buy that goes to new highs, get it out of what I call the danger zone, then consider moving it based on the technicals and the strength or not, as the trade as the case may be. You know, if we're trying to use and move the stop too early just because we see unrealized P&L, technically it might not be out of that danger zone. It might still be in the noise category, in which case you're likely to get pinged out on noise, and that's going to be frustrating for you because you get pinged out, comes back, takes you out, goes again. You know, so danger zone, work out what your danger zone is for whatever trade you're taking. When the trade goes out of the danger zone, then you start to move it, and whether you trail up under support, whether you kind of just leave it at break even and do this, whatever flavor you like, it's that initial danger zone to cruise to kind of the cushion of unrealized P&L that to me makes a lot of difference. In the section below, how you trail your stop, why and when. Take care, bye-bye.